president, and he actually used to coach me in club basketball at Knox for the Rowville Rockets. So it's gone back a long way, and Dan and Warren have been really good to try and get the club going the right way, and I thought it's a chance for me to come back and give back to the club that gave me my first ever taste of representative basketball. So to see where it is now and the facility that we're in is it's phenomenal. It's really, really good, and the numbers are growing, and the level of play will keep growing as well. And as keen as the kids are, we still need you guys as coaches to be able to steer them in the right direction. And chatting with Warren and Dan, they're really trying to get some key themes across the association, and I think that really helps the kids by having a bulk of work in them and a common message, so when they go from one team to another, you're just building on what you've done the year before as opposed to scrapping it all and starting again. So quite often in Australia we're volunteer coaches, so I always like to start with why do we coach? Why are we coaching? We're volunteer coaches, we're a parent, we're an uncle. Sometimes we do it just because nobody else will. And we want to make sure that the kids have some sort of a positive experience. So is that typically why we're all coaching here? Hands up if we're a parent or a relation of somebody on our team. Yep. Ex-players, we've played before. Yep, really, really good. So that's sort of why we coach, but what are we coaching? So we've established that there's different levels of coaches here. There's domestic sort of club coaches, some rep coaches, maybe even some big V coaches, state coaches, whatever. What is the purpose of us trying to teach these athletes how to play? And quite often we start at the very youngest age, and it's under 12s, and we want to win. We want to win straight away at all costs. Doesn't matter, I'm going to get the biggest kid, and I'll put him right there in the paint, and we're going to sit in a zone even though we're telling you it's not a zone and the zone bus is going crazy. And then that kid doesn't grow, and he ends up average, and he has no ball skills, no shooting skills, and all of a sudden he's dropped out of the game. So I think it's really important that we have a commitment as junior coaches to creating multi-skilled, multi-talented, multi-positions or positionless basketballers. Because I think the way the game's going now, everybody needs to be able to shoot, dribble, post up, rebound, and that needs to be a commitment from us at a younger age, to give those bigger kids a chance to play a guard and to teach the guards how to play some post play as well. So what is your identity going to be as a coach? We see lots of different coaching styles, and I've definitely gone through different ones. On the screamer, stomping up and down the sideline, on the Brian Gorgon, I guess. I've been the Lindsay Gaze, sitting on the bench, not talking to anyone. What is your identity? I think it's really important within yourself to find what is your value as a coach, and what message and how are you going to get that across to your athletes. I need to get 3 coaches to step up and come out here. Let's go. Same as we'd ask our athletes to come up. Let's get 3 out here. There goes 1, 2. Yeah, I like it. There you go.
America.
Awesome.
God.
What's your name, mate? Matt. Sean.
And Carl.
Carl.
Yeah.
So Matt, Sean and Carl have jumped up here, which is really good. Just if you could tell us what you're coaching at the moment.
At the moment I've just finished 14-2s.
14-2s, yep.
I'm moving on to the 16 girls.
Okay, yep, so there's some challenges in that, definitely coaching different genders.
12 A grade, domestic.
Yep, awesome. Okay.
18 boys.
18 boys, rep?
Yep.
Yeah, right, okay. So this just highlights the fact that we have multiple different levels of coaching here, and today I'm going to try to go through different drills and stuff that will suit all of you. So I think to have a different level of coaches here is really, really important, and some coaches to get up on the court as well, which is awesome for us. But I need 2 more of you to come up here.
That's good.
Come on, Dazza.
Yeah, no way.
I'm like a midget out here though. It's not fair.
All right, so while they're standing there feeling really nervous, I'm going to keep talking to you. And I'm going to talk about style of play. Okay, so some people might say style of play, or they run shuffle, or they run flex. That's system of play. So I want to be really clear in the difference between a style of play and a system of play. Put your hand up if we play with a shot clock. Do you coach with a shot clock? Some of us, yep. So for those of you that don't, it's important for you to understand what is necessary for your players to transition into a competition where they will. So sometimes at a clinic you can sit here and say, oh, he's talking about stuff that's way too advanced for my kids. But we need to know where we want to get them to so we can start to prepare them for that. So in Australia or FIBA rules, we use a 24-second shot clock. Okay, and we get 14 seconds on an offensive rebound. Now, Basketball Australia and Andre have come up with the pace, poise, penetration style of play. Pace, poise, penetration. And they're 3 equally divided 8-second segments of the shot clock. So we'll go through them just quickly to begin with. So we'll get our lovely demo coaches to go under the basket down there. All right, so we're playing our defense, so getting a nice defensive stance. Let's get down there like you're guarding somebody. Awesome, love it. I've shot the ball. Kevin here's got the rebound. He's squeezing the ball. He's got his elbows out. Nice. We're in our first 8 seconds. We're transitioning down this end to play basketball in our pace section of the shot clock. So what do we want out of our pace section? We want kick ahead passes. We want to try and advance the ball down the sideline. Quite often we'll see kids throw this one, cross court, nightmare. Steal, we're not in front of the ball. It's really hard to recover. So kick ahead passes down the court, want to throw those ones. Don't want to throw them across the court. If we throw it ahead and it's stolen, we're in front of it and we can jam it. So if we come down the court now, so you guys will come back to half court and we'll flip it as though we're coming down this end. Kevin's kicked the ball ahead. Sorry, what's your name?
Jaden.
Jaden.
Just realised.
Oh man.
Good to see you, mate.
Oh,
It's been a while, eh?
man, I was the coach. Wow, wow. Okay. So Kevin's kicked the ball ahead to Jaden. He's on the wing. So jump out on the wing. So this is a kick ahead pass. This is good for us. We're slowly transitioning down. So now, in our first 8 seconds, that's blowing me away. That's blowing me away. In our first 8 seconds, we want to score a layup, so we want to get feet in the paint, or a kick out 3. Now I know at under 12s, that might seem like, well man, my kids aren't shooting 3s, but you need to know where we want to get to and we should modify it for that age group. So we want a layup or a layup for under 12s, maybe under 14s. So we want to get feet in the paint, we'll have receivers outside the 3-point line, and we want to go layup or a kick out 3. Not a kick ahead 3, not a dribble up 3. And the reason for that is the points per possession calculations have been done that on a kick out, catch and shoot 3, we only need to shoot 33.3% of a 3-pointer for it to be worth 50% of shooting a 2. So we want to try and get into the paint, play off 2 feet, score, get fouled, or kick out 3. That's our pace section. Poise.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with this one. So when you say paint, do you mean?
In the key way. Yeah. So keep asking questions, that's really good. So the reason why we call it the paint is because once upon a time it used to be coloured in. So we just kind of call it paint. It used to be a funny trapezoid shape as well. So yeah. There you go, awesome. So Jaden...
Does that mean like passing the ball out?
Yeah. So Jaden's got the ball, he's driving into the paint. We'll go drift into the corner, diag there, you can wheel behind in a dragger. He's playing off 2 feet, kick out 3. So it's a catch and shoot. So feet are set, hopefully palms facing forward, you know, ready to shoot. It's a good shot. That's pace. Poise. Now we want to run our offense. We want to make the defense guard us. So Jaden's got the ball now, he can pass it to anyone. Yeah, good, you might cut. Move, whatever you want to do. Cut off him, there you go, little shuffle cut. Pass it, cut, whatever. Pass and cut. There you go. Semi-pro, they don't have a ball. So they're running their offense. So they're doing really well. They're doing really well. There you go. So this is poise. This is poise, and you can tell they look really calm. This is the poise section of the shot clock. We want to run our stuff. And we're happy with a shot that is predictable from our offense, whatever it might be. We might set a double down screen for somebody to come off and shoot a shot. That's predictable. and then that will help with our transition into defence. So poise, so we've had pace, now poise, that's the middle 8 seconds, run our stuff, whatever it might be, pass, cut, replace, Princeton, shuffle, whatever. So now we're down to the last second, which is back to called penetration. We call that penetration. So we go back to our original rules. We want layup, or get fouled, or kick out 3. So I think if we have that basic terminology for our kids, you will see if you go to any state-based stuff now at the national championships, kids will get the ball and the coaches will just yell out, pace, pace. And the kids know we want a layup or we want to kick out 3. If not, we're into our stuff and we're running poise. So having a style of play like that really helps you as an association and your teams with shot selection. We've all got 1 or 2 kids that come down and they just fire it, and it's just frustrating. You're not making defences guard you. We want to make sure that we're making the defence work. So pace, poise, penetration. They've done really well. Give them a hand. You guys can sit down. So that is the Basketball Australia style of play. And almost every state adopts that through their NITP program. So what we saw here was once we got down into poise, they started passing the ball around, the imaginary ball. And what we see is, everybody should know by now, this imaginary line that runs down the middle of the court, which is a split line. And every time we cross the ball over that split line, we're getting another side to our offense. So if we're over here on this side, we've kicked it ahead, really good. This is our first side of offense. Now if we bring it out and we move it over the other side of the split line, that's our second side. And quite often you can hear some coaches say, run through our motion, whatever it is, and on the second or third side we're going to go into something different. But what we see, particularly, it's a little bit different in the NBA because it's a lot of isolation basketball with their defensive rules being different. But in FIBA, what we see, the longer we run our offense and we get multiple sides to our offense, the defense is more likely to break down. So not only are we more likely to get a better shot that's good for us out of our poise, we're making the defense guard us, which is very, very frustrating. And for those of you that play in leagues that don't have shot clock, it can be a little bit like the American high school. They don't have a shot clock and you can just isolate them to death. You know, they're just sitting there, you get multiple sides to your offense and then you end up getting a layup. So multiple sides of your offense is something that we really want to key on, and chatting with Warren, making sure that we're drumming in shot selection. So we've got our style of play, pace, poise, penetration. The kids should have a good understanding if they understand that. So once we convey that to them, they should have a good understanding of the types of shots we want, depending on the section of our game. Multiple sides to our offense will help us break down the defense, get everybody involved. Who's heard the saying, get it through hands? Get it through hands. You know, make us hard to guard. That gets everybody involved. We don't have the one kid that we're no longer pigeonholing, just coming down and setting a screen and opening up to the ball and never getting it back. Everyone's involved. What that helps us do now is prepare us for our D-trans, which is what we do when we come back down the court and we're transitioning on defense. So I need 5 other coaches up here. 5 new coaches. Let's go. Yeah, that away. 2 more, 2 more. Come on guys, this is for you. There you go, that away. Not going to have any other, not going to have a reunion this time when we come up here. Okay, so let's go down here. And we've run our offense, and we've got multiple sides to it, really, really good. And we've come up with what is hopefully a predictable shot. So we know, sorry, what's your name? Jane's going to shoot it, and we know because we've run our offense. And on the slight chance that it doesn't go in, because Jane's a really good shooter, we need to be prepared for our D-trans on the way back. So there's sort of different ways to run D-trans, but the typical is a long safety, so you can go back on the foul line. A short safety, you can go halfway. And then these 3 here will do what's called triangling up. So you go on the block, you go on the block, and you try and come to the front of the rim, so you come down here to try and rebound. So typically everybody will say 1s and 2s go back, 3 4s and 5s, triangle up, that way you can cover as most ground as possible. Try and get an offensive board, if not you've got safeties back. Long and short, you can try and flood the paint, stop them getting layups. This is the typical way. Put your hand up if you've seen this. Yep. Put your hand up if we like it. Yep. How many offensive rebounds do we get a game? 5 or more? Not a lot. Not a lot. Okay, come back. So where we've gone to now, and this has been a collaboration with like many coaches overseas and also in Australia, is this term tagging up. Tagging up. And what that means right now is if Jane's playing defense on me and I shoot the ball, I'm going to run to Jane. I'm not running back. I'm running right to Jane and I'm going to try and push her into the charge circle. So that way, if the ball does come to her, it's a 50-50 chance. It's important to realise that there are some very specific rules to do this. Okay, we don't just want to recklessly run in there. So we have terminology called rebound high. And this will give you a demo here. Sorry, what's your name? Michael. So let's say the ball's on the other wing, so Michael will be turning in on split line. Good job, ball you, man. The shot's gone up. I'm tagging up. Michael is my matchup. If I rebound down here, Michael gets the ball and he's going that way, we're at a disadvantage. So we always say rebound high. So shot's gone up, I'm always going to come high, and it's like a rugby scrum. I'm going to try and push him under the charge circle and try and rebound. If he does get the ball, I'm right here to jam him, straight away. And we find a lot of NBL teams doing this now, the Boomers team, almost every state-based team is tagging up. We're generating more and more offensive rebounds because of this, and we're not really giving up much in D-trans because as soon as they get the ball, we're jamming it. Now what happens if I'm guarding Jane, she shoots it, and I fly by her, and I'm leaking out? Because that's the first question, right? Well, how can I tag up if my man's running down there to get a layup? So we have a very simple rule. If I go, you go. So you come back with me. Then eventually, depending on where the ball is and what your rules are, what sort of disruption you're running, she might stop here and be up the line so she can play 1/3, 2/3 up the court. So the theory is, shoot it, be on the front foot, create a contest, 50-50. You guys can jump down really good. 50-50, rebound high is what we want to talk about, never rebound low. Try and create a scrum. Push them into the charge circle. If they've got the ball, if they rebound it, you can dig it at once and then you're right behind the ball and you're jamming it down the court. Most teams have found an increase of sort of 20 to 30% on their offensive rebounds by doing this. It takes practice and it takes a lot of drilling and constant reminding from you as a coach. Tag up, tag up, tag up. We see too many kids do this one. Yeah. Oh, that was me. That was me, Jaden. That was me. That was me all the time. I'm not rebounding. I'm not even playing defense. Don't worry about that. Shoot it, tag up, front foot. Create a contest. 50-50s. Let's win him. Let's try and push him into the charge circle. Rebound high. Never rebound low. So what happens? I'm driving down the seam here. My man's doing a really good job. His chest blowing really, really good. I've jumped off this foot, thrown some rubbish up, and I've spilled out of bounds. How do we tag up now? I'm out of bounds. They've got a numbers advantage 5-on-4. So this is really the only exception to tagging up. And it's called a baseline spill. Or it could be a sideline spill, depending on how bad we're flopping. Baseline spill, we need to get back to our long safety and short safety. Because obviously it's a numbers advantage, we can't exactly tag up. So we need to encourage our players to stay on their feet. We see too many kids coming out and they're just, we've got good regulations in Basketball Australia now. We need long run-offs on the sidelines and end lines. But we used to see kids just hurling themselves into the wall at the back. Play off 2 feet. Play off 2 feet. If your shoulders aren't past theirs, you're not allowed to jump off 1 foot. We use that as a rule with our younger kids. If you don't have a clear path to the basket, play off 2 feet. 1, it puts you in a better position to tag up and get into our D-trans. And 2, you're more likely to make a sound decision, whether it's a good finish around the basket or a good pass out to our kick-outs, depending on what phase of our shot clock we're in. Just going to check my notes here. So, based on that, the theory of tagging up, who likes that now? And don't just say yes for me. Don't just say yes for me. Need some more convincing? That's fine. We're not too long until the NBL season starts, and I would encourage you, even though obviously Melbourne United have been here, I'd encourage you to watch some Bullets games, because that's what Andre's doing. That's what Aaron Fern is doing with Cairns as well. And Bevo started doing little bits of it, situational with Illawarra. But what's most importantly is the Boomers, and we will see who the new Opals coach is, they'll be committed to doing that. So for our kids, hopefully here to make state teams, we had 1 under 16 make Vic Metro this year. Yep. So for those kids to have a chance to do that, they're more likely to succeed at their trials if what we're doing here is based around that stuff. Now, coaching on the fly. Coaching on the fly is something I wanted to touch on. Peter Lonigan is the new head of high performance coach development for Basketball Australia. And I was sitting as a clinic coach watching him talk in a stadium in Tas, and he's talking about be comfortable with the mess. Be comfortable with the mess. How many times do we set up a drill or whatever it might be and it's not going right and we just storm right in there and we say, stop, on the baseline, everybody's running. And then during a game, we say to the players and our coaches, or we might talk to parents after the game and say, oh, we just don't make good decisions. We can't make good decisions. But we never let them figure it out. We stop them straight away. Stop, you're done. And then it becomes about me as a coach. You've got to do it this way. And all of a sudden you've got kids here for an hour and a half, hour practice, and you're talking for 30-40% of it. Basketball players want to play. There's almost no situation in a game that you can replicate. Everything's different. You need to let them figure out how to make decisions, and quite often that's by failing. So you've got to go to coaching on the fly. Keep the drills going, whatever it is, and just correct them along the way. And I will try and do that today. When the athletes come back, I will give them a quick instruction to begin with, and then we'll just build it up as we go, and we try and correct them as it goes. Now, having said that, you still need to have your cut-off point. You can't just be like, it's just total chaos and you're trying to correct it as you go. You definitely need to have your cut-off point, but as a general rule, just correct them along the way. If there's one athlete struggling, pull him aside. Let the other kids keep getting their reps up, whatever it is, and discuss with him or her about how we can address it and fix it and put them straight back in. So Australia's gone to a lot of game-based play for all their sports. You know, the days of, one line there and one line there and 2 balls and you dribble in, do a layup and throw it back is gone. We don't do that anymore. We try to use a rule of every 4 to 6 seconds an athlete needs to be doing something. Whether it's running to another line, setting a screen, passing a ball, whatever it is. And sometimes it's unavoidable. I ran a camp the other week. We had 70 kids on 2 courts. And I'm sitting here thinking, man, these kids are going like 20 seconds without doing anything. They're standing in these lines. What are we going to do? So then we have kids going down the middle here, dribbling basketballs, and it was chaos, but every kid was involved. So try to work on that rule. Once you set up whatever it is you're doing, just watch one kid and count. How long is it until he does something? Is he standing there in the line, particularly younger age groups, mouth open, just looking, and then all of a sudden the ball hits them in the face because they're not engaged. 4 to 6 seconds is what we want to try and do. Have them do something every 4 to 6 seconds. And as you get better at your coaching, you'll set it up, you'll watch one kid and you go, right, this is how I can make it more difficult, or this is how I can add another line in. Multiple baskets, you can get that going. whatever it might be. And part of this comes back to your planning. As volunteer coaches, quite often we'll turn up to practice. We come from work or uni, and it's like, oh, I've got practice, I haven't done anything. We get here 10 minutes before the session, and we go, right, warm up. They run up and down a few times, we go, all right, layups. Get a drink. You're like, what am I going to do now? I haven't planned anything. And here I am sitting here as a paid coach telling you you need to put more time into your coaching. I understand that. I understand that it's really hard to sit there and plan out your preparation for your whole season. But it doesn't have to be brilliant, your planning. Just jot some things down. And you want to have on that session plan that I've given you guys, those 3 columns. The time that you're going to try and do the drill, the content, what you're going to do, the organisation of it, and the points of emphasis, the teaching points. As you move up the levels, you can add a 4th column in, and that can be what's acceptable, at what point are you going to stop it. If it's a scrimmage-based thing, it might be the teams that you're going to get together. Your assistant coach, if you're lucky enough to have that, they can look at the session plan and go, right, we're going to scrimmage now. I need to get, in my head, 3 or 4 teams ready. 2 guards, 2 bigs, whatever it is. So planning is very, very important. And I just think basketball coaches, we are essentially teachers. We're teaching. And are there any teachers here or anyone doing teaching? Yep. Got a plan. Got to do your planning for class, otherwise you get out there and it's just a shambles. And there is there's no syllabus to what we're trying to do here. But I think Warren's starting to put in some principles. And do you guys have a coaching booklet that has some of that stuff in it? There you go. So you do have your syllabus. And you want to try and plan around that. So when you are planning, you want to try and break it into blocks. Break your preparation into blocks. What are we going to achieve in weeks 1, 2, and 3? What are we going to achieve in 4, 5, and 6? And it needs to be a steady progression. And this is where coming back to having a bulk of work done at under 12s and 14s, when they come into 16s and 18s, you're just building on that. You're not having to revert back to everything. So we've discovered that we need to plan, and the best way to do it is that format that we use, the 3 columns, time, content, point of emphasis. And what you'll find is you can actually begin to recycle parts of your session plans. You say, oh, our tagging up wasn't good today, or our D-trans was no good. And you know the way you want to teach it because we have common teaching points, common language hopefully across the club. You can just pull that bit out and enter it into your session plan. And that'll also help when you have an assistant. Put your hand up here if you have an assistant. A couple? Oh yeah, they're awesome. So when your assistant turns up, you go, this is what we're doing. Or you can send it to them the night before and they know. So let's get 2 coaches up here that haven't been up here before. Come on guys, be involved. Let's go, 2. There you go, that away. Need 1 more. That away, nice. What's your name? Tim, well done Tim. What's your name?
Darren.
Oh, Darren, great name.
Cheers, bud.
Right. So now, we're the coaches, and we can stand here at halfway, and our kids are down there doing these awesome drills that we've done. We've designed it, we've session planned it, we're standing here, we've looked at it, they're getting a touch every 4 to 6 seconds, we're awesome. And now we just congregate. We just look, and we talk about this kid, or that weird sport AFL, that rewards you for being close to getting a goal. Anyway. And we just congregate. Now I encourage you all, as a coach, especially if you have an assistant, never be on the same line. So our kids are here. I've just given you guys that instruction. We're at half court, never be on the same line. Yeah. So now you can see from a different angle, you can see from a different angle, and you're in it, and you can talk to the kids. When the kids get a break, you can have a break and you can talk. We don't want to congregate as coaches, Because quite often, particularly younger girls, they make a mistake, they turn around at coaches and you guys are going. Whether it's about them or not, they take it on and they go into their shell. If you're involved, you're on different lines, you're in the drill, you're helping them along the way, we're coaching on the fly, all of a sudden you're getting more out of it. The kids are getting more out of it. Your session's running smoothly because you've planned. When you get a drink break, you guys can huddle and get together. Peter Lonigan had this saying, say what you got to say and then leave. So get into the drill, correct it real quickly and then leave straight away. We don't need to harp on to these kids over and over and over what we're trying to do. If I say, don't be on the same line, you go, okay, and you're starting to do it. Don't be on the same line. Don't be on the same line because those two lines are parallel and we don't want you standing right next to each other in a small group, and you should probably have at least 3 to 4 metres between each other. And the kids are just going, dude, I get it. Like, I understand it. So I think we need to let them explore it, and hopefully that they have an understanding of what we're explaining to them, they get straight away. And we can just move on. Really good. Thanks, guys. So say what you want to say and leave. Never be on the same line. If we are one coach, which most of us are, where do we stand? If we're doing some sort of finishing, do we stand on the baseline? Do we stand on the 3-point line? Are we in there trying to give some defense? Or we just stand on the sideline like this? I think it's important to be active in the drills. Get in there. Don't get in their way, or if you are in their way, throw on some defense. Don't just stand at half court, out of bounds. Get in there. Let the athletes know that you are there for them and that you're helping them through it. Okay, favourite one, drill selection. Put your hand up if you're less than 3 years into coaching. Yep. Less than 5? Okay, and more than 10. Yep. So one thing that is definite, and it started with me as well when I first coached, man, I need some drills. I need some drills. You got some drills for me? And you become this drill guru. You've got like 50 drills, there's really complicated drills. And especially now with YouTube, jump on, I want to teach this, and there's 20 different drills to teach it. And you get this huge bank of drills. And then you realise that you're spending 75% of your practice drilling and not playing at all. So we like to use the 1/3 theory, 1/3 skills, 1/3 concepts, 1/3 play at practice. And if you're smart about it, you can incorporate your concepts into some gameplay and some small-sided games. And we'll do that today with some 2-on-2 screening games. 1/3 skills, always got to get a hit on the skills, because what you may realise is that these kids get maybe 1-2 practices a week with good coaches that are here investing in themselves to get back to the kids, and then they never get a touch for the rest of the week from a coach. Whereas you compare to Europe or high school in America, those kids are in there twice a day, 4 or 5 times a week. So we need to make sure that the kids are getting good quality content, and that we're touching not only on the skill work, the concepts, the way we want to play, and then also some gameplay stuff. And it doesn't matter the level that you're at. I was lucky enough to do, I did film for the Bullets last year up in Queensland, and at the start of most of their sessions, the bigs would just practice backing down on each other. A coach would throw on the ball, and they'd back down on each other, and they'd throw it out. They'd go and steal again, inside pivot, face up, then back down on each other. They can do that. We can have a touch on those things at our practice for sure. And that first part on our session plan, the COE pivoting, that's what we're going to do with these kids. And I think what makes Australia great is our best athletes that are heading over to college and Europe, and now we've got 9 of them in the NBA. Our fundamentals are great, like really, really good. But we got to make sure that we don't just fall away from what made us good as a country as well. So drill selection. Now that you've got all your drills, and you're like, man, I like that drill. And then all of a sudden you're doing that drill every practice. 3-man weave. Who's a 3-man weave guy? 5-man weave? Good. Hate those drills. At what point do you teach pass the ball and run behind someone? When do you do that in a game? Not playing rugby. But as a coach, I used to do it. We'll go 3-man weave and then we'll go 2-on-1 back, or 3-on-2 and 2-on-1 back, and all of a sudden you find yourself, you're doing drills that you're good at teaching. You're doing drills that you like teaching, not necessarily what your group needs. Yeah. Say that again? Oh yeah, man. Yeah, let's get out here and we'll have some 5-star passing, and we'll have 6 balls going. Look at us go. We're nice. Can't dribble around anyone though. Can't defend. And that's a challenge. So you want to try and figure out these game-based drills or game-based learning, small-sided games that you want to do. So let's have a commitment here to not falling into the safety and the luxury of just going, all right guys, 3-man weave, 4-man weave, the stuff that we're good at teaching or that we know how to do, and that the kids know. Because it's really good if you come and go, all right guys, let's go 3-man weave. They know it. We've put a bit of work into them. They know it straight away and it looks good. Always challenge yourself. Think about each week in your blocks of planning. What do we need to do? What do we need to work on? You've got good resources here in Warren, the internet. You've got your big V coaches here that I'm sure if you went to ask them, they would help you with something. Your under 18s and under 16 rep coaches. Any coach that's coaching in VC, how many VC teams we got? 5, yeah, okay. Any coach that's coaching in VC, they should have some knowledge for you. You're a community now as coaches. Go to them and ask them, how can I work on this? What do you do to work on this? So we touched on game-based learning, and I like to think that basketball is never really 5-on-5. It is at the tip, but then it's momentary 5-on-4s, 3s-on-2s, 2-on-1s, 1-on-0s. So you need to replicate that in your game-based stuff, and you can do that by doing situational stuff where the defense has to say tag out, for example. Can I get just 4 boys out here in dark on seams and corners? Let's go. I know I only just thought of this. Seams and corners. So we'll go seams and corners. So the seam is where the lane line extends. So we'll get another one down here in the corner. Yeah, really, really good. So if you're doing our 4-on-4, say shell drill, quite often a lot of teams do this, and we're trying to work, let's say offensively, we're trying to work on receivers. So I might start here with the ball, and I'll have my other teammates around here in a good position, whether you're denying or you're pack line D, whatever it is. And we're trying to work on finishing in the paint, maybe a help rotation, and you guys getting to receiver spots to receive it after we've talked about feet in the paint. So how can we generate a good situation for these guys to be able to succeed? Because if I just throw it out here, especially at a younger age group, and I just come out and close out here, they might not be able to create a split, which means they're not getting used to getting into the paint and making good decisions. Our receivers are not getting to receiver spots and getting used to that. So we like to play a game called tag. So I'll have the ball, I'll close out, but you can attack. I've got to get both feet outside the paint before I'm allowed to come back in. And then all of a sudden we've got a helper and we're rotating, and it's that momentary 4-on-3, which is the same as in the game. Thanks, you guys can sit down. Thanks guys, really good. You can take that with you. So thinking about ways to start with a numbers advantage and then add it back in the same as we would in a game. So particularly in that tag drill, obviously you'd have your help defender here, they'd step up, that guy'd run on and you'd work on your rotations out of that. But sometimes it's really hard to simulate that if they can't create a split off the dribble. So have them tag out. 3-on-2 continuous layout, 3-on-2 plus 1. Who's done that? You got ball crosses half court, the extra defender can run in. That's a good drill. That's a momentary numbers advantage. And it's the same as somebody trailing down defensively, they're late to get back in. So always think about trying to create numbers advantages. Can I get 2 darks and 2 whites out here, 1 ball? I need 1 ball. I need a light and dark at the top of the charge circle, and I need a light and dark on that wing there, and I'll have the ball. We've got NBA kids, kids watching the NBA, pick and roll. They're coming down, pick and roll, set me a screen. How are we going to teach it? They don't really know how to play out of it. Late clock stuff. Who calls for an on-ball late clock? Do we do that in any of our stuff? Yeah? Middle pick and roll, spread it out. How do we drill that? How do we put that in a situation where they can succeed, and how can they practice? So we're going to start off by saying you have to V-cut. So we want you to try and get to the nail, slash arms, come out open. We want you to catch the ball around about the green line. So do that. Very good. Now, once that happens, we're going to say you're allowed to sprint up and set a middle on ball. But before you do that, as you're doing that, the defender has to touch out of bounds on the baseline. Go and set your screen. Then he can come back and play defense. So we've given him a momentary advantage. The defense is recovering, and we're putting the offense in a chance to succeed. We're not going to give them any defensive rules as opposed to what you want to do with your pick and roll coverage, whether it's mush, blitz, whatever. The only rules we're going to give is offense. They only allow 1 pass. 1 pass we want to try and score. Rebuild it. So remember, on the catch, you've got to tag out of bounds. You're flying up. All right, let's go. Nice job. Swap it over. Let's go again. Flash arms, flash arms. Good. You're right, play through it. Go play through it. There you go. Nice job, bad luck. Keep playing, keep playing. Nice job, rebuild it. Right, you're doing really good, boys. A bit nervous. They're all right. Here we go, slash arms, let's go. Tag out, go. Nice. Oh, great job. One more. Here we go. Tag out. All right, stop there. Can we get 1 more white, 1 more dark out here? So what we see, they started to figure it out. They started to get better at it. The skills were letting them down a little bit, but they definitely started to figure it out. Okay, we saw a little bit of playing off 1 foot, some of that stuff that we want to tidy up. Typically coming off any pick and roll or any handoff, we like to have the saying 1 bounce pocket pass, 2 bounce lob. We don't want to pass it through this area here. That's where all the hands are. Okay, so now we're going to start with the offense and defense in the corner there. So I'll have the ball here. So this part's the same. Yeah. So you're now a shooter. You can be a helper on the roller if you want. If he helps, you want to drag and lift up here to become a shooter. So we have our spacing. We will give you guys on offense 3 guys in a row. You have 3 possessions. So as soon as you make or miss, throw it back out. White's on offense again for 3 times. Then black will go. All right, let's go. Lift. Good. Play through it. Right, back to me. Let's go. Go again. White 3 times. Seal now, seal. Right, we'll go 1 more. If you dive on that one, just seal, open up. Here we go, last one. Nice job. Black, let's go. 3 possessions. Let's go, V-cut. Play, get on the glass. Good job. 2 more. Lift, lift. Corner, lift. So just remember, in the corner, we have some pretty specific receiver rules that they may not have been taught before. So if I'm coming off this side and I pick it up sort of foul line or the first hash, you can stay because he's more than likely there. If I come lower, you've got a choice. If you help in, you've got to lift for that shot. That's catch and shoot. 1 more. Come on, D, sit down, guard. Nice job. Thanks, guys. We're done. Really good. Take the ball. So that's a way to teach a situational, momentary 2-on-1 playing out of the pick and roll. And you can give them some cues along the way. We obviously want to talk a little bit about what we do when we set up on the on ball, jab stepping one way, going another, some go, stop, go, or what we call it in Australia, wombatting, where you keep them on your hip, playing off 2, 1 dribble pocket pass, 2 dribble lob. That's what we want to work on. And we can do that out of side pick and roll as well. But middle pick and roll is sort of where the game's going now. A lot of middle pick and roll with good shooters in the corners. And you need to have your receiver rules in place. And that will take some drilling until they get used to it. But that's an example of some situational stuff and some momentary numbers advantage. Thoughts on that? Do we like that stuff? Middle pick and roll stuff? It's fun to play for the players as well. They get to figure it out. And you can do a tag scenario from any other way. Let's get 1 dark, 1 white out. You can't really expect them to figure that out because there's no point in the game where there's 2 basketballs, is there? All right, so what's your name? Jake, you can go out on the wing. So for coaches that are new, the wing we typically use free throw line extended outside 3-point line. So any side ball screen, we want it foul line or below. You're going to start on the edge of the D, so just right here, with the ball. Now you're going to throw it to, I'm sorry, I forgot your name? Jake. Once you throw it, you have to tag out high side. So we want both feet outside of the paint, the 3-point line. You're going to use a throw down. Throw down is this one. Straight into it. We're not rip throughs. We're just going to catch it, throw it down straight away. Okay? Your rules, you are not allowed to take off from inside the paint. You can either take off from outside the paint or you can come to a jump stop and shoot it. Because realistically, we'll have help. Good defenders, we should have help out here. Okay, so you're going to work on throwing it down, getting separation, floaters, runners, jump stops, step backs even. You're trying to tag out, and then once he gets the ball, you're trying to stay on his hip, so just walk. You're trying to stay on his hip and use your chest blows. This is where that wombatting comes in. Try and use your separation and use your step backs. Let's have a look. Nice. It's all right. Go again. There you go, some encouragement, boy. There you go. Nice. Good job. Go again. Get 3. Swap it over. Swap it over. Now you get 3. Get there, defense. Get there. Nice job. Go 2 more. 2 more. Oh, nice job. 1 more. 1 more. And done. Thanks, guys. Really good. Give him a clap. That's pretty good. So what we see is they start to figure it out a little bit. It's that momentary numbers advantage again. And you can do that all around the court. Throw it, tag out, give them some rules. Give them some realistic rules. Don't practice side ball screens and let him go all the way to the other side of the basket to shoot a layup. It's just not going to happen in the game. Say split line or side of the charge circle, that's it. So that's an example of some stuff they can do, and it sort of comes around this saying contested shooting. You know, contested shooting. Who's heard that term before? Contested shooting? I think it's just game shooting. It's just like game-based shooting. Like those are good shots. There was only one that was sort of contested. Gives them pressure, works on us, getting the ball, attacking the high foot, throwing the ball down in front of us. Different finishes around the basket. Middle game is something that this might sound hypocritical with our pace poise penetration, but during our poise section of the shot clock, middle game is still very important. Particularly, who under 18 VC coach? Do we have one of them? Yep. Who's the biggest team that you play against?
The biggest team?
Yeah.
Usually the Tigers.
Yeah, Tigers. Hard to get into the paint, right? So, like, yes, you want to get in there, but it's hard to get in there. So you need these middle games. You need to try and get in here as much as you can, play off 2 feet, have good receivers. So you've got to work on those game shots, not necessarily just contested shooting. So we've got only a couple of minutes left before we get the athletes on the floor and I get a drink as well. But I just want to talk about timeout management just really quickly. So we know, are our club rules the same here as rep? So do you get 5 timeouts in a game, 2 and 3 for club? 2 and 2, okay. Yep. So here is my theory on timeouts. And everything that I've said today is just my opinion. So there's more than one way to do things for sure. I always have a feeling that you should never go into halftime with a timeout in your bank because it doesn't roll over. There's something that you can say. Now, if it's a running clock game, club game, I can understand that. You want to let the kids play. If you don't need to call a timeout, maybe you won't. But definitely rep when the clock stops. There is a teaching moment that you can use for sure. So you should always make sure you use both timeouts. Now, coming down the stretch, you always want to have 2 in the last 2 minutes. And that might be hard when they're pressing. And, you've got to call a timeout, otherwise you're going to lose by 50. I understand that there's always exceptions to the rules. So we know once it gets to 3 minutes, if we haven't used our first of our 3 timeouts in the second half, that we lose it. So you need to be mindful of that, to call that timeout, to make sure you can get the most out of it. So I'm coaching on the sidelines, and little Michaela, she's done a really bad closeout, and they've just called a layup, and I'm over to the bench, time out. And I'm really mad about what just happened, and I waste 40 seconds talking about that one thing. And then right as the players are going onto the court, I'm realising, oh man, I've got other stuff to tell them, and I'm walking out here and I'm like, do this. And the kids they can't get it. And neither can adults. So what I encourage you to do on your coaching board, and if you have an assistant, is as you see things, write it down. Say to your assistant coach, our boxing out needs to get a bit better, pick and roll D is a bit sloppy. Then right as you've called a timeout, look at your list. And go, yes, I've called it for whatever reason, poor closeout, stop a run, whatever it might be. And then I've got all these other things that I can talk about. So now we've got this huge long list, and now we're saying to our kids 15 things in the timeout that they want to fix. And their head's just like, can't do it, particularly when they're walking out going, oh man, I like his shoes. Where am I meant to stand again? Like, it's true. So I've said have a list, but don't give them too much information. This is where a common language comes in. If we can say things like tag up, style of play, pace, one word means a lot to the kids. We don't have to say, we want to get the rebound, kick it ahead, try and get feet in the paint, and then get to either a layup or kick out threes and get receivers. We can just say we need to improve our pace. Kids know it. We're not tagging up well. Kids know it. So all of a sudden, the use of a common language is in effect. And we're not overloading the kids in a timeout, but we're also getting the most out of them. If it's an issue with one particular person, address them individually on the way in. So you call your timeout, all the kids are coming in, and they've realised they haven't got their drink bottles out of the bag, they're running over there to get their drink bottles and you're like, my timeout's over. Address that person on the way in. Just come out and meet them on the floor and say, Colin, you've got to do a better job, stay on your man, or whatever it is. And then when you get in there, you're addressing the group. Because if you're sitting there addressing one person in a timeout, it can go two ways. One, that person feels bullied or overwhelmed, and the other kids feel left out. So address them individually. Then have your plan, which you've got from your list and your common language during your time out. Awesome. That's it for us. We're going to get on the court in a little bit, but I just need to have a break and have a drink. So we'll be on the court in about 5 minutes. Awesome.